Koharu Yutane and Hamura Midokado stood side by side, looking at those sand village and hidden prisoners. After being chased into the dungeon, they turned around and prepared to leave. Currently, Sarutobi Hiruzen is dead, and Shimura Danzo's whereabouts are unknown. All the burden is on the two of them. Any important matter must be personally handled. Retired. Retired. Suddenly, 3 ninjas jumped and ran towards the side. Among these 3 people, the 2 in front were wearing umbu masks, while the one behind them was someone who didn't look like an umbu employee at all. His face filled with fear as he followed behind. When the 3 of them stopped in front of Koharu Yutane's 2 faces, the 2 umbu ninja knelt on one knee on the ground, respectfully saluting Koharu Yutane and the other 2. Lord Koharu, Lord Yen, the ninja who came out from the base just came to find us, saying that Danzo is dead. What? Koharu Yutane and Hamura Midokado simultaneously exclaimed in shock. They hurriedly asked, what exactly happened? Why did Danzo suddenly die? The 2 umbu turned their heads to look behind them and waved their hands towards the ninja base behind them. Tell me, what exactly is the situation? Carefully explain clearly. To be. The ninja immediately rushed forward and clasped his hands, saying, My lords, Lord Danzo is indeed dead, and he was personally killed by Uzumaki Naruto. Koharu Yutane's originally tightly furrowed eyebrows now furrowed even deeper. It's this Uzumaki Naruto again. Why the hell did he suddenly do these things? Hamura Midokado stroked his goatee and slowly said, Koharu, what happened has happened. Don't be so nervous. First listen to what he has to say. Koharu Yutane helplessly sighed, only feeling the burden on her body instantly increase. In the past, all the big and small affairs of Konoha were managed by Sarutobi Hiruzen alone. There are some stories behind the scenes, all of which came from Shimura Danzo. Ever since she and Hamura Midokado participated in the Uchiha clan extermination event, they have not paid any attention to Konoha's political affairs. Every day of living with the elderly is also very satisfying. But now that the 2 old men were both dead, naturally everything fell on the 2 of them. Under Hamura Midokado's gaze, the ninja opened his mouth and said, My lords, the matter is like this. Lord Danzo, in order to seize Uzumaki Naruto from the Nine-Tails body, took the severely injured Hyuga Hinata back. Using Hyuga Hinata to lure Uzumaki Naruto to the base, then Lord Danzo brought people to start capturing Uzumaki Naruto. This ninja's name tells the whole story at once. Now without the tongue seal to bind him, he was not at all hesitant. After listening to the story in detail, Hamura Midokado immediately showed an angry expression on his face. This guy Danzo really doesn't know how to live or die. Why does he want to attack Uzumaki Naruto at this time, not sending people to the base to stop those invading Konoha ninja? Koharu Yutane helplessly shook his head. Flame, so many years have passed. Danzo's ambition. Can't you see clearly? It's just a pity. He still died because of his own ambition in the end, and he was killed by a child. Living together with such an old friend for so many years, how could Hamura Midokado not understand Danzo's urine nature? Saying these words is nothing more than blaming Danzo. Very quickly, Hamura Midokado cleared up all sorts of clues. Danzo died. But the foundation of power under Danzo's subordinates could not be easily abandoned and must quickly be placed under his own control. He asked the ninja base, Where are your base members now? Tell them to gather at this square immediately. The ninja base replied, My lord, the base originally had 7,800 members, but in today's battle with Uzumaki Naruto, 5,400 people died. What? Hamura Midokado and Koharu Yutane exclaimed once again. Koharu Yutane's voice was trembling as he asked, You mean, Uzumaki Naruto killed Danzo alone, and also killed the 5,400 headquarters? The head of the ninja department said as he pounded garlic. Yes, my lords, I didn't say anything wrong. The rest of the ninja department saw it with their own eyes. That Uzumaki Naruto is truly terrifying. Here, everyone could not help but take a deep breath. One person killed several thousand elite ninjas, and among them was added a Kage-level contestant Danzo. This has really reached the level of perversion. After pondering for a moment, Hamura Midokado waved his sleeve and said in a low voice, All right, let's discuss this matter later. I'll go to the other side of the headquarters first to organize the remaining members and summon them all to deal with this mess here. Koharu Yudate nodded, expressing his full agreement. Flame. Then I will go find that kid Jiraiya and try to convince him to prepare himself mentally for the matter of succeeding the next Hokage. The sun quietly climbed up the window. Its dazzling light penetrated through the glass, shining on Naruto's face, waking Naruto up from his dream. Naruto muttered twice, finally struggling to get out of bed. Yesterday's continuous fighting, plus the after effects of the 8 Gates Dunjia, took a lot of toll on the body. Even with the Uzumaki bloodline and Hashirama's cell regeneration ability, Naruto still felt pain all over his body.
Dong dong dong.
Naruto, are you awake? A series of knocks on the door rang out. Sasuke's voice came from outside. Naruto, dressed properly after, went forward to pull open the closed door. What, Sasuke? So early? Sasuke nodded slightly. It's not early anymore, it's past 8 o'clock. I deliberately waited so long to call you. Naruto asked doubtfully. What? Do you have something to say to me? Sasuke opened his mouth wide, then began to hesitate again, as if there was something he couldn't say. Naruto patted Sasuke's shoulder and asked, Sasuke, just say it, no need to beat around the bush. As if finally making a decision, Sasuke nodded lightly. Yes, Naruto. Although this is a bit embarrassing to say, I still have no choice but to say it.
I
want you to guide me in my cultivation.
What?
I command you. Naruto was immediately stunned, pointing at his nose. Sasuke said seriously, That's right, Naruto. You don't need to doubt, I really think so. Although Danzo and the 3rd Hokage are now dead, I still have an enemy. That Itachi Uchiha. I must personally stab him. I have seen how strong you are, Naruto. You have the qualifications to guide my cultivation. Moreover, you also said it yourself yesterday. The Uchiha clan's extermination incident also inevitably involved the other 2 high-ranking officials of Konoha village. I believe that in this matter, there are also many great ninja clans from Konoha participating. So, I think, this revenge against Konoha is far from over. I must definitely kill those damned bastards. Speaking of this, Sasuke's eyes were filled with hatred, his black eyes turned blood red, and he unconsciously opened his 3-pointed Jade Sharingan. Naruto also saw that Sasuke had not yet recovered from what happened yesterday. Or rather, Sasuke is now deeply entangled in the mire of hatred, and just wants to quickly increase his strength to take revenge on Konoha. This is also why the always arrogant Sasuke can lower his face, go to Naruto, this same era ninja, to beg. Guide him to practice. Sasuke. A person can have hatred in his heart, but he cannot be completely possessed by hatred. Naruto looked at him and said slowly. Sasuke's eyes flashed with anger. Naruto, what do you mean by that? Don't you also hate Konoha very much? Didn't those villagers of Konoha also make your childhood miserable? Naruto nodded slightly. You're right. But they're just ordinary villagers after all. There's no need for me to fight them to the death over these things. Moreover, in Konoha, there are also teammates that I cherish very much, such as Kakashi-sensei, Rock Lee, Shikamaru, Kiba, Choji, Shino, Little Sakura, Niji, Tenten. They are usually very good to me. Sasuke's eyebrows furrowed. Naruto. I still can't understand what you mean. Could it be, because of this, you've already let go of your past hatred? Then why did you betray and flee Konoha? Naruto went back to the room and sat down on the chair. After a moment of contemplation, Naruto replied, The reason I left Konoha was very simple, because I revealed my purpose. When I saved Hinata, I killed Danzo, killed the roots and claws of Danzo's men. From that moment on, I had no way back. Speaking up to here, Naruto paused for a moment, waiting for Sasuke to understand the meaning behind it, then continued. Sasuke, I tell you these things, not to make you let go of the hatred in your heart. You said you wanted to take revenge on Koharu Yudate and Hamura Mitokado. I don't have any opinion, because their hands are indeed very unclean. If necessary, I can even go out and help you with all my strength. But your target of revenge cannot be directed at the entire Konoha, because Konoha has our former good teammates, and is also the place where we grew up. Sasuke's head hung low. So much news. He temporarily still couldn't fully accept it. A moment later, Sasuke spoke again. Naruto, I will think carefully about what you said, but cultivation matters. No problem, I'm willing to help you. Naruto nodded slightly. Right now, my relationship with Sasuke is not bad. Want to keep this kid by your side. No matter what, you have to make some effort. According to the system, there is ninjutsu as long as Sasuke wants to learn, as long as he can learn, Naruto can do his best to teach him. No matter how he grows up, or if in the future he falls into darkness because of the Uchiha clan's innate evil curse, it will not threaten Naruto's safety at all. Naruto's current strength standard, even if he spurred his horse, he still wouldn't be able to catch up. Naruto, Zabuza and his men came to find you. Downstairs came the sound of Tsunami shouting. I know, I'll be there right away. Naruto loudly responded. Then I will go to the back mountain to practice first. When you have time you can come over here and find me. Sasuke didn't seem to have much interest in seeing Zabuza and Haku. He greeted Naruto, then jumped down from the hallway through the window. Naruto first ran to Hinata's room and glanced. Through the open and closed door, he found that this little girl was still lying on the bed and hadn't gotten up yet, so he didn't go to disturb her. Go back to the room, take down a few sacks and go straight downstairs. Zabuza and Haku were sitting on the sofa, playing with Inari inside. Naruto, how are the preparations? Zabuza tilted his head and asked. Naruto threw the sacks in front of him. No, the money is all here. Early last night, Naruto and Zabuza had finished their discussion. From the previous distribution of Naruto, give the money to Zabuza and the other two, let them go ahead and gather the villagers and start preparing to form a ninja camp. For example, building houses, building practice grounds, purchasing teaching materials, making tools, and other matters, all had to be dealt with today. Haku opened the sack and took a look, then looked at Naruto, who was slightly silent, and shook his head. Naruto, this guy storing money like that, isn't that a bit inappropriate? Naruto understood what he meant. He wanted to say that Naruto's way of doing things was a bit too arrogant, who would hold a sack of money. It's okay, this bag is too much. If you don't have enough money, then come to me and complain. Naruto laughed and said, the money is all contained in the space system. So Naruto can't use his illusions to empty his mind and just wave his hand to make a large pile of money out of them. Using sacks to contain them is the most suitable choice right now. Zabuza stood up, his two hands grabbed the sacks on his shoulders. If that's the case, then Haku and I will go and start preparing. Tizana has gone to summon the villagers who can build houses here. I will go negotiate with him about some financial matters, and on the other hand, I will be responsible for helping Tizana handle some of the house construction matters. Haku, as for purchasing teaching materials and ninja tools, I'll have to trouble you to go to the land of fire. Haku also lifted a sack with one hand and nodded, saying, no problem, Mr. Zabuza. Just leave these to me. Schools must use teaching materials. And ninjas also need ninja tools, which are completely absent in the land of waves. Only after running to the Fire Nation, in some big cities above the talent, is enough to buy. Although it is said that the Wave Country also has blacksmiths, but just relying on those blacksmiths to make ninja tools, it is likely that there is still a large shortage in quantity. On the contrary, Naruto here has money, can buy it directly and calculate. Brother Tizana, you wouldn't be lying to us, would you? Is there really someone willing to let us, the Nation of Waves, establish a ninja village? I don't believe it no matter what. Of course it's true. I, Tizana, have always lied to you guys that the person who founded our ninja village is the one who attacked Gata Ninja Lord last time, Uzumaki Naruto. Not long after, Tizana had summoned his group of old brothers, and they all ran over here one after another. From a distance, Naruto and the others in the room heard their conversation. Zabuza just reached the door. His footsteps suddenly stopped. A smile on his face turned his head and said, Naruto, it seems that Tizana really didn't leave any room to exaggerate you. This. Naruto awkwardly scratched his head. Tsunami stopped wiping the table with her hand, smiled and looked at Zabuza and retorted, Mr. Zabuza, what my father said was right. The country of waves was able to escape under Gata's clutches. Wasn't it fortunate that there was Naruto, and also you guys? I don't need to say it, I almost killed Tizana before. Zabuza and Tsunami glanced at each other and said calmly. Zabuza's meaning must be that he had made a mistake before, charging Gata to handle something he shouldn't have done. But he honestly told the story of almost killing Tizana, making the atmosphere a little awkward for a moment. Tsunami had no choice but to lower her head and continued to rub the table. Just at this moment, Tizana brought the fire extinguisher and arrived outside the room on the lawn. Zabuza hurriedly waved at Haku, turned around and walked out of the room. Escaping this stuffy atmosphere, the two of them chatted with Tizana afterwards. Immediately, Haku, led several young people, preparing to go to the Land of Fire to buy necessary items and equipment. Zabuza, on the other hand, brought along his men and began to build the house. Chop wood, clear the foundation, purchase necessary materials, assign tasks, and start taking action. Location. Immediately choose Zabuza and Haku's small room 100 meters away. The terrain there is flat and spacious, completely suitable for building houses and training grounds. In this small island nation of waves, there is not even a great name, let alone any ownership or rights. As long as you have the ability to create, even if you make the country of waves the most prosperous place on the ninja continent, no one will pay attention to you. Looking at everyone starting to get busy, Naruto, standing on the lawn, just watched from afar. In his mind, he couldn't help but sigh. If his comprehension was strong enough, he would have comprehended the essence of wood release. Then, at this time, even this roofing program can be reduced. Directly gave him a few would release 3-7-1 Hall techniques. Inari inside released the toy in his hand, ran forward and pulled Naruto's shirt corner and asked, "Big brother Naruto, you want us to establish a ninja village, so can I go there to learn ninjutsu in the future?" Naruto reached out and stroked his head. "That's natural. At your age, you can all go to ninja school to learn ninjutsu, and each person can also bring in money as an allowance." Inari's eyes immediately lit up. She held her small face, raised her head and looked at Naruto and asked, "Is it true, Naruto-sama? You're not lying to me, right? Teaching us ninjutsu can also bring in money." Naruto chuckled and then laughed again. "Of course it's true. Why would I lie to you? Inari inside will have to study hard when the time comes."
Ah,
"Too good." Inari inside was excited, jumping up and down, cheering and running back into the room, going to Tsunami to report this happy news. This matter was also discussed and decided by Naruto and Zabuza last night. The main thing is, as Zabuza said, the Land of Waves not only has a small population, but also a large one. Moreover, most of the villagers are relatively poor. There are no children suitable to enter ninja school to practice. It is also possible that they all want to do farm work at home to maintain their livelihood, and do not have this free time to go to ninja school to go to school. Since they are short of money, then sending the children to school will give them money. Every child who enters the ninja school to practice can receive a monthly allowance of at least 600,000 gold coins. Based on the assessment results, the top 20 students can all receive a huge multiplied allowance. On the contrary, Naruto had money in hand, hundreds of millions of taels. Not something that could be spent carelessly. Wait until the first group of students graduate, then they can start carrying out ninja missions. By then, Wave Country can also start earning quest rent. Although the Wave Nation Ninja Village does not have a reputation, it does not have the same background as the 5 great nations and other countries. But as long as the news of the Wave Nation Ninja Village spreads out, relying on the mission fees to conduct financial flows back, there shouldn't be any problems. Knock 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 sounds continuously rang out. Tizana led people on the opposite open space to work hard. Naruto took out a pen and paper and carefully recorded the 4 methods of 8 gates Dunja cultivation. Chase towards the back mountain and give it to Sasuke. Sasuke is good at fire release and lightning release, 2 types of ninjutsu. Naruto admits that there is nothing he can teach him. Right now, the only thing that can help Sasuke is probably the 8 gates release technique. But with Sasuke's physical strength, whether or not he can complete the previous 4 cultivation methods is still a mystery. Naruto, thank you. Looking at the detailed notes in his hand, Sasuke said a word of thanks to Naruto. Naruto shook his head. It's embarrassing to mention it. Although I know a lot of ninjutsu, there really aren't many that are suitable for you. I hope 8 gates Dunja can come help you. Sasuke nodded and said, "Yes. Right now I mainly practice Sharingan. If I have free time, practicing 8 gates release is also a good choice." Naruto stood to the side, opening the 8 gates to guide Sasuke. Very quickly, the sun climbed to the top of the head. The time had come noon. Tsunami climbed up the mountainside and waved her hand, shouting, "Naruto, everyone come down and prepare to eat. Lunch is ready." "Coming right away, Nami-san. You've worked hard." Naruto turned around and greeted her. "Yes, I will go call their father to finish his work. You two should also quickly come down here." After Tsunami finished speaking, she turned around and walked towards the foot of the mountain. "Let's go, Sasuke, let's go back and eat first," Naruto said, then also walked towards the foot of the mountain. Returning to the room, I found that only Inari was playing on the first floor, but I still couldn't see Hinata's figure. Naruto's face showed doubt, he muttered. This girl Hinata still hasn't come up yet? She must not have had the habit of sleeping in before.
Dong dong dong.
Naruto thought about it all the way, then crawled up to the second floor, knocking on the door. Hinata, the sun is shining on your butt. Why haven't you gotten out of bed yet? A dry cough came from the room, followed by Hinata's extremely weak cry. Naruto's smiling face stiffened. He hurriedly urged the door to open and close, and quickly walked in. Hinata's face was pale at this moment, struggling to get up from under the blanket, covering her mouth and coughing continuously. What happened? Hinata, are you feeling unwell again? Naruto rushed forward, eyes filled with concern. No, I'm fine, Naruto-kun, you don't need to worry, Hinata said, holding down her hand to cover her mouth, quickly hiding it under the blanket. Even though she tried her best to hide it, Naruto still sensitively noticed that her hand had fresh kurenai blood stains. Let me see. Naruto lifted the blanket and grabbed Hinata's hand, immediately becoming even more worried. You're coughing up blood, and you still say it's nothing. Hinata gently shook her head. Naruto-kun, it's okay. I might be fine after resting for a while. Is it okay to rest for a while? Really, your complexion wasn't too bad yesterday, but today it's become so serious. Naruto knew in his mind that Hinata just didn't want him to worry, so she deliberately made light of her illness. Hyuga Hinata's heart, lung, and nerve injuries have now begun to worsen, and his life may be in danger. The host has launched a scenario selection mission. Please complete the following choices. You can get the corresponding mission reward. Choice 1. Bring Hyuga Hinata to the Land of Fire, find the most excellent medical ninja, and have Hyuga Hinata treat her. Complete the first rank mission, can get the reward. Kodo Amatsukami uses 2. 5 years of age reduction. Choice 2. Save what to save. The woman will affect my speed at which I draw my sword, making her cough to death. Complete the second selection mission. You can get a luxurious gift package reward. 1 pair of overalls, 1 basketball, 1 middle-parted hair. Naruto. System. What do you mean 2.5 years overalls? Basketball with a middle part? Little black. The girl is so beautiful, a baby. The girl is really so beautiful, a baby. Naruto. Can you be a little more trustworthy, system? The system version is very serious. Please host do the selection mission, and quickly complete the mission. Naruto carefully recalled the system's previous reminder. Hyuga Hinata's heart, lungs, and nerves were injured. His condition has begun to worsen, and his life may be in danger. Before Hinata was taken into the compound by Danzo, she was still in the hospital recuperating, receiving IVs every day. After losing the hospital's medical treatment, Hinata's injuries became more serious. It was also Naruto who was too subjective, only caring about his own plans, without considering Hinata's body. Yakushi Kabuto. You are really vicious. Naruto gritted his teeth and muttered to himself. He had already made up his mind that if he ever saw this Yakushi Kabuto again, he would definitely kill him with his own hands. System. I choose number 1, 1111. As Hinata heals injuries, this is something that must be done. As for the system reminder to head to the Land of Fire to search for the most outstanding medical ninja, could there be anyone else besides Hinata? Hinata. I will take you away immediately and find someone to help treat your injuries. Thinking of this, Naruto turned away, carrying Hinata on his back. Cough cough Naruto-kun, where are we going? Hinata asked while coughing, but she didn't have any resistance, just quietly and obediently lying on Naruto's back. Return to the Fire Nation and find someone who can help you heal your wounds. Naruto's eyes were determined. He carried Hinata and quickly walked downstairs. In the living room, Tazana's family had also returned, including Uchiha Sasuke, who were all sitting at the dining table. Seeing Naruto carrying Hinata down, everyone at that table was a bit surprised. Tazana hurriedly stood up to greet her. Naruto, what's wrong with this girl? Is there any part of your body that doesn't feel right? Tsunami and Sasuke also stood up, their eyes filled with worry. Naruto nodded slightly. Yes. She suffered from serious internal injuries before and has not recovered yet. I must immediately take her away and find someone to treat her. Sasuke hurriedly gathered around, somewhat impatiently saying, Naruto, both of you are leaving me here alone? Naruto patted Sasuke's shoulder and shook his head, saying, Sasuke, you should wait here and practice. When you have time, go and get to know Zabuza and the others. We might want to stay here for a long time in the future. Moreover, I'll have to hurry back soon. Sasuke opened his mouth wide, wanting to say something. But he saw Hinata's pale face and knew that Hinata's injuries were serious, so he did not continue speaking. Okay, Mr. Tazana, please tell Zabuza and Haku. I will take Hinata away for a while first. I will leave the matter of establishing the school and base to them. Naruto looked at Tazana and said. Tazana nodded. Yes. No problem. This old skeleton of mine can also help you guys get busy. I will quickly summon everyone to help you build the school and base. Good. Then I thank you first. See you again. Naruto nodded in agreement, then immediately activated the Flying Thunder God technique.
Wow.
Naruto carried Hinata and turned into lightning, disappearing from the spot. Next, in the blink of an eye, a forest appeared in the Land of Fire. This place is a must-go place when running to the Land of Waves. And it is also where Naruto intentionally left the Hiraishin mark on the tree when he was carrying out a mission in the Land of Waves. Except for this outside mission. The 7th class has never left the village to carry out any missions again. Therefore, other local towns of the Land of Fire also did not retain the Hiraishin mark. I feel like my injury will never heal. You don't need to waste your time looking for someone to treat me. Hinata coughed a few times and whispered in Naruto's ear. Hinata has been in the hospital for treatment for more than half a month now. Although she has been taking medicine every day, there are still no signs of improvement. Moreover, these past 2 days, Hinata clearly felt her body getting weaker and weaker, and every now and then her heart would feel a burning pain. She realized that her life was in danger, but she didn't want to get Naruto involved. Naruto carried Hinata on his back and galloped through the woods. He turned back to comfort her. Hinata, don't worry, as long as that guy makes a move, your injuries will definitely be healed. Hinata asked doubtfully. That guy? Who is he? Naruto. She, along with Orochimaru and Jiraiya, is famous and is known as the legendary Sannin. What? Are you saying it's Lady Tsunade? Hinata is considered the main line of the Hyuga clan and received a higher education than the average person through the clan's education. For Tsunade's kind of character title, Hinata naturally also knows. Dain Chi Kwak, A.M. Tan Village, a certain underground palace headquarters. A heart-wrenching scream came from inside a room. In the bathroom, Orochimaru was cleaning his body, letting the warm water flow over his body. But the water that flowed down from that pair of pitch-black hands had already turned bright red. Damn, old man, even to death, he wants to torture me like this. Orochimaru's eyes revealed a fierce light. His hoarse voice carried endless anger. The 2 hands transmitted that wave of burning-like pain, causing its body to tremble continuously.
Dong. Orochimaru-sama.
How are you? Are you still well? The door of the room was knocked loudly. Outside the room stood a man, wearing a set of yellow glasses. Orochimaru did not reply, just turned off the shower nozzle, put on a bathrobe and walked out.
Kabuto, come in.
In the spacious room, Orochimaru sat down on a chair and shouted softly.
Safe.
The lock was twisted, and the door was pushed open from the outside. Yakushi Kabuto walked in quickly from outside, looking at Orochimaru's pair of gray-black hands. His eyes filled with worry. He took out a needle from his body, took out the medicine from the bottle, and slowly walked towards Orochimaru. Orochimaru-sama, although I can't feel your current pain, I want to pour in some anesthetic, which can also slightly reduce your pain. Orochimaru took the needle from his hand and knocked it down, shouting coldly. I don't need this kind of useless comfort. Kabuto, let me find out if there is any news from that person now. Orochimaru-sama, you don't have to be like this. Yakushi Kabuto's eyes flashed with helplessness. He nodded and agreed. The legendary Sannin Tsunade, her exact location has not been found yet, but someone who traveled to the town of the Land of Fire has seen her appear. Orochimaru used his teeth to wrap the bandages on both hands, raised his head and used his bloodshot eyes to look at Yakushi Kabuto and said in a deep voice, Kabuto, I don't want to wait even a moment. I must quickly find Tsunade's whereabouts. I want to prepare to depart immediately. Yakushi Kabuto was slightly stunned, but did not refute. Yes, Lord Orochimaru. Then let me accompany you. Orochimaru shook his head slightly. No. You are responsible for continuing to send people to search for Uchiha Sasuke's whereabouts. After finding him, from the time you brought Kimimaro back, you must definitely bring Uchiha Sasuke back. I am looking for a good next-generation vessel. It absolutely cannot just run away from my hands like this. Uchiha Sasuke is the most suitable choice. Yakushi Kabuto pondered for a moment, then asked, Really? Lord Orochimaru, Kimimaro didn't say anything to you. So you are preparing. Orochimaru said in a deep voice. Go call Gyurin here. Her strength has recently made a breakthrough. Maybe it can be of great use when looking for Tsunade. I understand. Lord Orochimaru.
Retired.
Retired. Fire Nation somewhere in the middle of a forest. Naruto carried Hinata on his back, his legs continuously stepping over the tree trunk. Speeding forward. According to the original anime timeline, this was the moment Tsunade appeared. Originally, Jiraiya should have brought along his newly accepted disciple Uzumaki Naruto. While avoiding being captured by the Akatsuki organization, and at the same time, he also wanted to bring Tsunade back to Konoha to succeed Hokage. But now according to Naruto's changes to the original script, there is no such thing as worshipping Jiraiya as a teacher. It is even more impossible to follow Jiraiya to bring Tsunade back to Konoha. Justin think that by some twist of fate, Naruto would still have to go find Tsunade's whereabouts. However, the purpose changed, becoming Hinata's treatment of injuries. Where Tsunade was specifically, in which town Naruto also did not know. Can only follow through the original memory. Wait until chasing to that familiar town. Use multiple shadow clone technique again. Go find Tsunade's whereabouts. System. There hasn't been any marking for the past week. Help me start marking. While walking through the forest, Naruto also took some time to give orders to the system. 7 days of accumulation marked successful, preparing to be a reward. Please wait a moment. Congratulations, host. You have obtained the marked reward 1, Ninja Explosion Talisman times 3, reward 2, Ninja Soldier Food Pill times 3, reward 3, Ninja Fog Ball times 3, reward 4, Towel times 3, reward 5, Warm Underwear times 3, reward 6, 999 Rock Skin Bottle times 3, reward 7, would release Ninjutsu would tread. Naruto heard this increasingly inappropriate reward marking and was about to condemn this shameless system. But after the 7th reward included a would release ninjutsu, Naruto felt a little better. Mach Dinbich can create a flexible circle of protective shell for himself. Although there isn't much egg used, but no matter how you say it, would release ninjutsu, isn't it? The Fire Nation's territory is vast. Naruto carried Hinata on his back as they walked through the forest. Even at their fastest speed, it was still after 4 days that they arrived at a town that looked somewhat familiar. This is the place where Jiraiya brought Naruto to practice in the original work and stopped at a small town here. Wanna ask Naruto why, remember? Because Naruto saw that hair salon. This is the place where Jiraiya took Naruto's green frog purse and went to play with local bone girls. The gate sat a young lady named Baba, leaving a very deep impression on people. A little handsome guy. Why are you staring at me like that? Look, do you want to come over and play? The cowwave saw Naruto standing at the entrance, stunned. So, he quickly stood up and glanced at Naruto. She very teasingly shook her chest, causing the originally exposed bra to slide down a bit, revealing a large patch of spring light. Hinata was originally lying on Naruto's back, resting with her eyes closed. Hearing this unusual movement, she quickly opened her eyes to look, seeing that woman's lewd appearance, causing Hinata's face to instantly turn red. Cough cough Naruto Konyu.
Ah!
Naruto just reacted, moving his gaze along the cow's chest. Cough cough, what is that, Hinata? You absolutely must not misunderstand. I was just passing by and wanted to ask for directions. Humph, Hinata snorted softly, feeling a sense of frustration in her heart. Hurry up and leave this place. How long do you want to keep watching? Yes. Of course I'll leave. Naruto quickly agreed, quickly escaping this troublesome place. At this time the sun was gradually setting. Another day at dusk was approaching. Naruto carried Hinata on his back for 4 days straight, only occasionally taking a short rest in the forest, and didn't have a good night's sleep at all. At this moment, the two eyes were black and like a panda's, just need to find a bed to fall down, and immediately can be lost in the past. Not far away, a small inn appeared at the fork in the road ahead. Hinata, let's go over there first and find a place to rest for the night. Have a good meal and continue tomorrow.
Yes.
Hinata gently nodded in agreement. Naruto now crossed over and carried Hinata slowly towards the small inn. Hinata reached out to help Naruto wipe the sweat off his forehead. Seeing Naruto's face become so haggard these past few days, she felt guilty and heartbroken. Naruto-kun, I'm sorry. It's all my fault for making you suffer like this. If it wasn't for the Chunin exams that time, I asked to continue the competition, things wouldn't have developed into what they are today.
Bah.
Naruto slapped Hinata's, but hard, causing her soft body to tremble slightly. Her originally pale face immediately turned red. Naruto-kun, you. But there are still so many people watching around, Hinata said. This kind of thing is very embarrassing, okay? If it is at no one local. No local is not suitable. Naruto ignored the glances thrown by passersby, turned his head, and said in an extremely serious tone, Hinata, you are not allowed to say that again. In this Naruto world, you are the most important person to me. No matter what kind of accident happens to you, I will not spare any effort to help you. Naruto, looking at Naruto turning his head to the side, hearing his extremely sincere words, Hinata only felt a warmth rising in her heart. Her eyes unconsciously moistened. Naruto's mouth revealed a trace of a smile, saying, Why don't you answer me if you say such polite words to me again next time? I still want to continue to beat you, PP.
Yes.
I understand, Naruto-kun. Hinata nodded obediently, recalling the scene when Naruto was young and was beaten numb by a group of kids to protect her. Hinata's lips involuntarily revealed a trace of a smile. It turns out that my favorite Naruto-kun has never changed, helping me without asking for anything in return. It's good to know, don't worry. I won't let Yakushi Kabuto who hurt you, or Orochimaru who is playing tricks behind your back. Naruto thought about this mastermind, and his dislike for these two people deepened. Defeat the nine-tailed demon fox Uzumaki Naruto. Uzumaki Naruto is the traitorous ninja scum that caused trouble in the Leaf Village. He must be cut into pieces. Uzumaki Naruto is a disaster. He will definitely die a terrible death. Konoha. The small building where Naruto lived was covered in paint and dirty water. Outside the room door, and on the wall, everywhere can see insulting and cursing words. In Konoha, after the war completely stopped, the villagers and commoners who had taken refuge in the hole in the room all came out. Seeing the originally prosperous home turned into this scene of desolation everywhere. Look at your house. The rooms were completely destroyed and collapsed, turning into ruins. The villagers were filled with anger. Naruto became a traitor ninja and killed Danzo, indirectly killing the third Hokage. Through the fermentation of these days, it has completely spread throughout the village. With nowhere to vent their anger, the villagers could only attack Naruto's headquarters, turning Naruto's house into this filthy mess. Late night, 10 o'clock over. The streets that should have been bustling and prosperous before were destroyed by the war, and now there is no one around. Only the cold night wind blew, carrying large patches of fallen leaves that scattered in the air. Perfect. Very small footsteps sounded from afar. A girl wearing red pants, carrying a bag of clothes on her back, bowed her head and walked forward step by step. The tears on her face had not yet dried, as if she had just cried loudly. Sasuke-kun, why did you suddenly leave? Am I not worth holding on to even if you say no? And Naruto too, why did you suddenly leave? Sakura Haruno muttered to herself. She didn't know why things suddenly turned out like this. Before, I relied on Naruto the most. Why did I suddenly become a traitor ninja? Before, I liked Sasuke-kun the most. Why did I suddenly run away with Naruto? All of this was a sudden bad news to her. A huge blow to her. Behind the corner of the intersection, 3 figures cautiously poked their heads out, looking at Sakura Haruno's figure walking away step by step, unable to help but frown. 2 men and 1 woman. The girl kept her long golden hair, pinned in a high ponytail. Her features were extremely delicate and beautiful. Even though it was a cold day, she still wore a deep blue, open-neck dress. Revealing that sexy slim waist and long legs is the 9th class Ino Yamanaka. On the other hand, the 2 boys, both of them were fat and wide, wearing a light red armor outfit, with a large "Eat" word on their chest. Another person looked a bit skinny, wearing a green ninja undershirt outfit, long black hair tied in a high ponytail. Ino, it seems like what you said is right. Her emotions have been a bit off lately. Choji Akimichi stopped the action of taking out potato chips from his hand, frowned, and said in a low voice. Shikamaru Nara let out a soft sigh. Who looks like little Sakura wants to run away from home. The Lee Alliance is all prepared. Ino Yamanaka softly agreed. Seeing his best friend who fought with him for many years turn into this absent-minded appearance, Ino felt a little uncomfortable in her heart. She naturally knew why little Sakura became like this. Except for a few because of Naruto, most were probably because of Sasuke. Ino only now understood that little Sakura's feelings for Sasuke were countless times deeper than hers. Perhaps before, when she was always fighting with little Sakura over Sasuke, she didn't really like Sasuke that much. She just liked fighting with little Sakura. Ino, don't just stand there. What are you trying to do? Seeing that little Sakura had already walked away, Shikamaru Nara hurriedly reminded her and asked. In Shikamaru's opinion, after all, the matter between the women might not be something that this careless man could understand. If you want to advise little Sakura, Ino still has to do it herself.
Yes.
I understand. Ino nodded vigorously, seeming to have finally made up her mind. She walked quickly and slowly forward, chasing after little Sakura. What do you understand? Shikamaru? Choji looked confused. Shikamaru spread his hands. You shouldn't ask me this kind of thing. In terms of a woman's mind, there is no difference between me and you, this stupid guy. As they spoke, the two of them quickly caught up with Ino's footwork. Little Sakura, wait a minute. Ino waved her hand and shouted loudly forward. Little Sakura turned her head to look, saw 3 people running over, a bit at a loss. Ino? You guys. Ino stopped, raised her finger and pointed at little Sakura's clothes on her shoulder, opened the door and asked, Little Sakura, are you preparing to leave the village? Want to go find Sasuke and Naruto? Little Sakura's eyes were a bit evasive, not wanting to tell him about this. No, I just want to go to my uncle's house. Uncle? Ino had a question mark above her head. Shikamaru stopped in his tracks, unintentionally directly exposing little Sakura's lie. Little Sakura, going to your uncle's house in the middle of the night. This kind of lie probably won't be believed. Choji stuffed a potato chip in his mouth and said with a smile, That's right. We already know what you want to do, little Sakura. Ino took a step forward, grabbed little Sakura's arm, and said with a serious expression, Little Sakura, what exactly is on your mind? You can tell us. We are willing to help you. Even if it's leaving the village to find Sasuke and Naruto's whereabouts, we are still willing to help you. Little Sakura's eyes lit up in a daze as she raised her head to look at Ino, seeming to have some intention. Hey, Ino, you said that earlier. Shouldn't you have discussed it with us a bit? Shikamaru sighed helplessly. Going out into the village at will is not a small matter. There is a possibility of being branded a traitor ninja. Ino turned her head to look at Shikamaru, the corner of her mouth revealing a trace of a smile. Shikamaru, I think you also don't want to trust that Naruto guy. He will betray and run away for no reason, right? Choji slowly said. But right now in the village there are also Konoha ninjas who hate Naruto and Sasuke. Even if we can find them, there is no way to bring them back, right? Little Sakura suddenly became a little agitated. A layer of mist appeared in her eyes. No, Sasuke-kun and Naruto are not what those people say. They must have some kind of trouble. I must go find them and ask them clearly. Ino gently patted little Sakura's arm, expressing comfort. Little Sakura, don't worry, I will go with you. No matter what, Naruto and Sasuke are my classmates for so many years. I don't believe that they are both heinous criminals. Speaking, Ino once again looked towards Shikamaru and Choji. You too, are you willing to come with me? If you are not willing, please help me and Sakura keep the secret. Who women are really troublesome. Shikamaru breathed a sigh of relief, helplessly complaining. Hearing this, Ino's forehead veins popped out, looking like she was about to explode with anger. But Shikamaru's next words made Ino's eyebrows relax. Ino Shikacho must be together if you want to go out. Naturally make the 2 of us go with you. Although I don't really like that Sasuke guy, but for Naruto, I still have quite a bit of good feelings. Go find Naruto and ask him the reason behind it. Maybe there is still a chance to save the matter. Choji chewed and swallowed the potato chips, nodded and said, Since Shikamaru is willing to go, then I have no objections. Ino hit the 2 of them a bit, smiling and saying, I knew you 2 were trustworthy, hee. Thank you all. Little Sakura was so excited that tears fell down. She kept nodding and saying thank you. Originally, She felt extremely scared about going to the village. Anyway, she was searching alone, and she didn't know where Naruto and Sasuke were. So she didn't know how long she would have to wander outside. But now with the help of the 9th class 3 people, things should be much easier. Shikamaru frowned and said in a low voice, "Don't be too happy too soon. If we want to go out now, it won't be that simple. If you want to escape smoothly, I'm afraid there's not much chance." Shikamaru said this was all true. These past few days, the few of them were responsible for supporting the villagers in sending supplies everywhere. They had all been keeping an eye on the Konoha village's defense situation. Although many parts of Konoha city walls were damaged, the situation at the village gates and other places where guards were stationed was much more strict than before. "I know a way to leave Konoha. I can take you all with me." A sound suddenly rang out. 2 heads rushed out from one side of the fence behind. "Kiba? Shino? Ino?" 4 people simultaneously exclaimed. They had no idea when these 2 people had been hiding here. "Hee. No need to be so surprised. We really followed you guys all the way. It's your fault your strength is too weak. You couldn't discover our existence." Kiba Inuzuka said with a laugh. These words made Ino 4 feel uncomfortable, but in this situation, everyone did not get angry. Shikamaru asked, "Kiba, you're not joking, right? The security everywhere is strict now. How are you going to take us away?" "What?" Shikamaru and the other 4 all had confused looks on their faces and asked in unison, "You guys also want to come with us?" Shino, who had been silent the entire time, revealed half of his face hidden in his collar and said in a low voice, "That's natural. Of course we want to go with you. What do you want to ask? That Naruto guy has a pretty good relationship with us. Furthermore, he just kidnapped Hinata like that. We definitely have to ask him for justice." Kiba's face darkened with anger. Hey. Shino, don't say it as if we want to snatch Hinata back like that. Hinata is very cute, but I don't have that kind of heart towards her. Little Sakura hurriedly stepped forward and anxiously asked, "Kiba, you just said you could leave Konoha. Where exactly?" Kiba Inuzuka looked proud, pointing to the eastern direction of Konoha. "On the other side of the high wall, under the foot of the wall, there is a big dog cave which Akamaru and I accidentally discovered during a practice. It can help us get out smoothly." "Dog cage?" The crowd looked silent, not knowing what was so great about being in a dog cage. Early the next morning, the sun rose from the east over the mountain tops. In the small inn, there was only one room in the living room. As the first rays of sunlight shone through the window, Naruto instantly opened his eyes. Turning his head to look at Hinata, who was still sleeping soundly beside him, Naruto couldn't help but wake him up. Gently pulled his arm out of her chest, then crept up from the bed. Kagebunshin no Jutsu, Shadow Clone Technique. After simply washing his face, Naruto went to the outside door and formed the Shadow Clone hand seal. Break, a mist exploded. 3 shadow clones appeared beside Naruto. "You guys wait here for Hinata, and also prepare to enter Sage Mode. Prepare for later," Naruto instructed. "I understand," the 3 shadow clones exclaimed in agreement. Then, the 3 people pushed open the door, walked to the bed, sat cross-legged, closed their eyes, and began to absorb the natural energy. "Hinata, don't worry, I definitely won't let anything happen to you." After taking one last look at Hinata, Naruto turned around and went downstairs, preparing to go find Tsunade alone. After a deep sleep last night, Naruto's super self-healing ability kicked in, and he was now completely mentally recovered. After finding Tsunade, no matter if it's thinking of a way to bring her here or sending Hinata to Tsunade's side, there's not much difference. It's just using Hiraishin twice more. Huh? Then why don't I leave Hinata at Tazana's house? Just go find Tsunade and bring her back. On the street, Naruto thought with a dazed expression. But thinking about this kind of thing that would reveal his secret in the Land of Waves, Naruto returned to normal. Multiple shadow clone technique. Leaping onto a rooftop, Naruto formed a multi-layered shadow clone hand seal, and orange figures appeared one after another. Almost in the blink of an eye, 1,500 Naruto shadow clones were standing densely on the rooftops around this place, waiting for Naruto's orders. "Master, depart now immediately. Go find Tsunade's whereabouts. Once found, immediately notify me." Naruto waved his hand and shouted. "Ah!" The clones all shouted in agreement, and then they scattered and started walking towards their respective locations. Even without Tsunade's photo, it's even more impossible to accurately know Tsunade's location. But as a transmigrator, Naruto really knows that Tsunade bets like her life. As long as he pays more attention and asks around the casinos, he will definitely be able to quickly find Tsunade's whereabouts.
Fire Nation, Dubin Town.
Bustling street above. A figure wearing a pure green robe, smiling slowly walked forward. This woman has a beautiful face, a hot body, and her chest waves with every step she takes, causing her to tremble violently. Her long, golden hair was simply combed into a ponytail, making her look even more beautiful and captivating. Shizen, hurry up. We're coming. The woman outside a casino stopped, turned around and said to a teammate following behind. Lady Tsunade looks very enthusiastic. Shizun's eyes were filled with fear, her two hands tightly hugging the chest in her chest. Somewhat unwilling to approach the past. Tsunade-sama, this casino has the highest odds in the area, otherwise we should change houses. Shizun pitifully begged to take it, just hoping that Tsunade could be a little less. Don't be surprised, this time I will definitely get back the principal and interest. Tsunade stepped forward and snatched the chest from Shizun's hand, then lifted the curtain and walked in. This money. Help me exchange it all for gambling cards. Tsunade brought the chest up to the counter, unhooked it, revealing stacks and stacks of cash inside. The staff behind the counter immediately had their eyes lit up and quickly stood up to receive the chest.
Yes.
Of course you can, please wait a moment. Shizun then slowly ran over, wanting to intervene, but it was too late. Lord Tsunade, this money was borrowed from you through loan sharks. If we lose the battle again, we will lose even our travel expenses. Tsunade picked at her ears, feeling a little annoyed at Shizun's constant chattering. But she also knew that Shizun wanted the best for her, so she didn't say anything more. In the casino, many of the gamblers were attracted by this generous scene in front of the counter and immediately started discussing loudly. Most people saw Tsunade coming. Their originally tearful faces, because of making money, immediately revealed happy smiles. There were also people who were very surprised by Tsunade's generous and open-minded actions. Who exactly is that beautiful big sister? How could she be so extravagant?
Cut.
This guy is your first time gambling. You don't even recognize her? That's right. That guy is the legendary fat goat, the guy who can never win at gambling. We're rich, ha 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 ha. Shizun raised her cheeks with both hands, her expression filled with fear and helplessness. It seems like the boss is treating Tsunade like a money tree again. Are we going to be slaughtered again? Tsunade naturally also heard those voices of discussion, but she turned a deaf ear to them. She took her own gambling chips and walked to a gambling table, ready to start betting. The gamblers around them even gave up on their gambling chips and hurriedly wanted to sit at the same table with Tsunade, just so they could win Tsunade's large bundle of gambling chips. 2 hours later, Tsunade lost and only had 10 chips left. The smile on the corner of her mouth also disappeared, moving to the faces of those gamblers. Cut. You guys. Let's see how I can use these last 10 gambling cards to recoup my losses. Tsunade snorted softly, enthusiastically holding the last of her capital. She began to prepare to cast the spell again. Wait a minute. Shizun immediately hurriedly grabbed Tsunade's arm, her face full of sorrow and pleading. Sir Tsunade, forget it. Can these last 10 gambling cards be kept? Otherwise we will lose even the money for our stay tonight. Shizun's face was filled with tears. Following this woman around in the open was truly not easy. This is good. Tsunade hesitated for a moment, but finally agreed, handing the gambling card to Shizun. Who's Shizun? Go change the money, let's go. Tsunade drooped her head and gave an order, then went out the door. After the two left the casino, they left this path and prepared to head towards a small town. Tsunade was outside owing her gambling debts, and had already fallen into a state of loan sharking. Must definitely run back to Senju clan's Konoha village, get some items that can be exchanged for money. First exchange some money to maintain living expenses. Tsunade-sama, let's go together. We all heard the news that Sand Village is attacking Konoha. Could this be true? On the spacious street, Shizun followed behind and asked. Tsunade frowned. It's not clear. When we return, everything will be clear. Thinking back to all the past, this place in Konoha left her with only sadness and suffering. The death of Senju's younger brother Nawaki and the death of her lover Dan Kato were huge blows to Tsunade. This is also why all these years, Tsunade wanted to leave, taking Shizun with her to wander outside. Hoo-hoo. just went out not far. A few dozen meters ahead, outside the wall, two figures suddenly appeared standing upright. Orochimaru-sama, the person you are looking for is her, right? The woman wearing a green robe slightly supported the man beside her and asked. Orochimaru nodded gently, not directly answering. Just the corner of his mouth carried a trace of a smile, quietly looking at Tsunade. Orochimaru? Tsunade's face was slightly frightened. She raised her head to look at the person coming, and stopped right there. For this teammate who went through life and death together back then, Tsunade still had some complicated feelings in her heart. It's just that after he decided to leave Konoha that year, the two of them haven't seen each other for decades. Tsunade, long time no see. Orochimaru let out a strange laugh. But because of the burning pain coming from his hands, his smile looked a bit forced. That guy is Orochimaru? He is the traitor who attacked Konoha. Shizen's expression became solemn. On the way, she heard news that Orochimaru led the most people to attack Konoha. Even though she always followed Tsunade wandering around outside, Shizen still had her heart set on Konoha. She shook herself and moved forward, blocking in front of Tsunade. Both hands suddenly raised, pulling on a hook mechanism at the wrist. Collect, collect, collect. Several small silver needles were shot out from the mechanism and went straight towards Orochimaru's face. What a rude guy. Gyurin frowned, and similarly stepped forward, showing a defensive stance, blocking in front of Orochimaru. Start attached crystal blade. As Gyurin raised his hands, two pink crystallized crescent blades condensed on his hands. Ding ding ding. In the middle of Gyurin's two-handed dance, the large array of silver needles that were fired at him were all knocked down. Not a single one was able to penetrate past. Shizen quickly stepped forward, slipped another kunai down from her sleeve, and ran straight towards Gyurin. Gyurin was also unwilling to be outdone, brandishing a pair of crystallized crescent blades, and fought alongside Shizen. Tsunade, aren't you guys a bit too much? You want to attack just by seeing her face. Orochimaru's eyebrows slightly furrowed, as if he was a bit angry. Tsunade's lips curved into a mocking smile, and she said in a low voice, Orochimaru, do we still need to talk about morality with this guy like you? You are truly a Konoha S-rank ninja traitor. Although he said that, he saw that Shizen was no match for him and was at a disadvantage after the fight. Tsunade's movements were not slow at all. She quickly rushed forward and swung a punch towards Gyurin's face. Gyurin was fighting with Shizen at full power, facing Tsunade's swinging fist, his face slightly frightened. She only had time to use her right arm's crystallized crescent blade to block. But she didn't expect that just as the blade of her crescent blade collided with the fist, she felt a huge force hitting her right arm. Rustle. The crystallized crescent blade instantly shattered. Gyurin's reaction speed was not slow. At the moment he felt danger approaching, he quickly dodged and retreated, but did not receive any damage. This guy, is he a monster? Gyurin slid back very far on the ground, stopping in front of Orochimaru, unable to help but mumble to himself. Shizen, step back first. You are not her match. Seeing Shizen still wanted to rush forward to fight, Tsunade quickly spoke up to stop her.
But, Sona.
That guy, Shizen originally didn't want to let him go so easily. But she turned her head and saw Tsunade's slightly unhappy expression, so she could only nod in agreement and retreat behind Tsunade. Tsunade looked at Orochimaru carefully, her eyes finally stopping on Orochimaru's two hands. Her eyebrows slightly furrowed, as if she understood something, and asked, Orochimaru, you came to find me. Is there something you want me to help you with? Orochimaru let out a laugh, raised his two hands, and used his teeth to bite open the bandages on his hands, revealing a pair of pitch-black hands. Tsunade, you are indeed the best medical ninja. Just by looking at me, you know my body's current condition. Seeing those two hands in a flash, Tsunade's face revealed horror. These hands, could it be? Before he finished speaking, Orochimaru continued. That's right. The soles of these two hands have been sealed by the sealing technique. Right now, there is not a single moment when I won't be enduring pain. Speaking, Orochimaru's eyes revealed a fierce light, and he shouted in a low voice, This is all because of that third old man. Damn it, old man. Tsunade's eyebrows furrowed slightly. As for the third's feelings, she was actually the same as Jiraiya. Although there were many things this old man did that he could not agree with no matter what, Third was still his teacher. And the part of the affection that had nurtured him for so many years was still there. Orochimaru's rude words made Tsunade feel even more uncomfortable. Orochimaru, it seems that the story of you leading people to attack Konoha is all true. Orochimaru let out a strange laugh, gently nodding. That's right. Tsunade. But I didn't come here today to talk to you about these things. I hope you can help me heal these hands. No. Tsunade refused without hesitation. I don't have any good feelings towards you right now. I don't have any reason to want to help you. Orochimaru's face stiffened, but he quickly recovered that cold smile and said in a low voice, Tsunade, don't be so hasty in refusing. I really brought you good news. I have recently been researching a type of immortality technique, and now I am an immortal. If you are willing to help me heal these hands, then I will give you your reward, and you can resurrect those two people. What? Orochimaru, although not sure of his name. But in the end, that one sentence that resurrected those two people was like a giant hammer, pounding madly at Tsunade's heart. Her body suddenly trembled. Those two figures appeared in her mind, and her eyes involuntarily filled with tears. She did not immediately return the words, but lowered her head, unable to help but let her body tremble slightly. Lord Tsunade.
How are you?
Shizune immediately rushed forward, her eyes filled with concern as she asked. Tsunade waved her hand slightly, but still did not raise her head, only that there were quite a few glistening tears, drop by drop sliding down her face, dripping onto the ground. Orochimaru let out a soft laugh, not in a hurry to ask first. It seemed like he had already predicted this scene before his eyes, and just stood to the side quietly waiting for Tsunade to give a definite answer. A long while later, Tsunade used her sleeve to wipe her cheek, suddenly raised her head, and asked, Orochimaru, is everything you said true? Why should I believe your verbal promise so easily? Orochimaru smiled faintly and said, Tsunade, I don't need to lie to you. If you don't want to believe it, you can come with me to my experimental base and see for yourself. I have great confidence in resurrecting Nawaki. Tsunade's eyes trembled slightly. She was completely moved by Orochimaru's condition. Nawaki's younger brother, Dan Kato's lover, has always been a scar deep in her heart. Just touching him even a little bit will cause her great pain. If it was really possible to let them both be resurrected, even if it was just to meet them again and talk to them, Tsunade would be satisfied. Seeing that Tsunade seemed to have relented and was waiting on the side, Shizune began to get impatient. She grabbed Tsunade's arm and shouted loudly, Lord Tsunade, you must never be fooled by him. In this world, there is no ninjutsu that can resurrect the dead. Retired. Of course he is lying to you. Moreover, that Orochimaru guy is still a big liar. A figure jumped out from behind the other side of the wall and shouted loudly. The person wearing orange sportswear, a head of short yellow hair, forehead wearing Dailang Konoha Ninja Hitayate, forehead treasure, but has a very long cut. Naruto-kun? Seeing the person coming, Orochimaru slightly frowned. Since I have had contact with this little guy several times, I have never gotten any good from him. A Leaf Village ninja trader? At such a young age. Tsunade turned her head to look at Naruto, saw the long cut on Naruto's head, Hitayate, forehead treasure. Couldn't help but frown. Hey,
Who the hell are you?
Shizune naturally saw that traitorous ninja Hitayate, forehead treasure, frown and asked loudly. Naruto raised his finger and pointed at his nose, a little confused. Me?
I
Came to look for you, and Tsunade, my name is Uzumaki Naruto. Uzumaki? He is a descendant of the Uzumaki clan? Tsunade muttered. Orochimaru continued. Tsunade. That kid is the Ninetales Jinchuriki, but you shouldn't underestimate him. His current strength is not weaker than yours. What? These words made the remaining people present all have horrified expressions. Orochimaru and Tsunade, both are Kage-level characters. Could it be that this child, who is only a little over 10 years old, is also a Kage-level character? Orochimaru knew in his heart that he now had both arms crippled, and could no longer be Naruto's opponent. In order to confirm whether Naruto was able to stop his plan or not, Orochimaru tried his best to force a smile, looked at Naruto and asked,
Naruto-kun.
I wonder why you're looking for Tsunade. Naruto glared at Orochimaru and said coldly, You're still not ashamed to ask me? If you hadn't intentionally let Yakushi Kabuto injure Hinata like this, would I need to come here now? Orochimaru's face immediately turned ugly. Until now no one dared to talk to him like that. But this blonde boy in front of him was making things difficult for him over and over again, which made Orochimaru's anger burn inside. Not waiting for Orochimaru to get angry, Tsunade glanced back and forth between the two of them a few times and asked, Orochimaru, what exactly happened between you and him? Why did the nine-tailed Konoha Jinchuriki turn into a traitor ninja, and even appear here? Orochimaru's face was cold. For a moment, he didn't know how to answer Tsunade. Naruto didn't have too many scruples. He smiled and said, Senior Tsunade, there might be quite a bit of hatred between me and that stinking snake. As for that stinky snake telling you about the possibility of resurrection, you absolutely should not believe his sweet words. I see that at most he can become a impure earth reincarnation, helping you forcefully drag your younger brother and lover's souls out of hell. Seeing that Orochimaru's subordinates were completely brainwashed, Gyurin immediately became unhappy when he heard Orochimaru being repeatedly insulted. She quickly flew towards Naruto, her face full of anger as she shouted, You impudent brat! Where the hell did you come from? Go F, you asterisk K. Crystal Shuriken. Running in the middle, Gyurin waved his fingers. Following the completion of the final seal, the air in front of Gyurin quickly condensed several pink crystallized shuriken, which fluttered and danced, shooting straight towards Naruto. She's in a hurry. She's in a hurry. Naruto smiled slightly, not showing any intention of avoiding it. Just took out a specially made Hiraishin kunai, threw it towards the ground, and let those crystallized shuriken stab into his body.
Puffy. Break.
At the same time kunai stabbed into the ground, Naruto also followed with a loud bang, exploding a white mist, dissipating into the sky and disappearing.
Wow.
In the next blink of an eye, an identical orange figure appeared, standing beside the Hiraishin's specially made kunai. This technique is Hiraishin? Tsunade's face changed. She couldn't help but exclaim in surprise. The Senju clan Elder Tobirama created ninjutsu. Later, it was promoted by the 4th Hokage Minato Namikaze, causing a huge explosion in the ninja world. Tsunade left Konoha after Dan Kato died, and did not know the 4th Minato Namikaze. But for the title of Golden Flash, Tsunade still knew. What Tsunade didn't expect was that she would actually be able to experience this ninjutsu again, and it was only on a child. Shizen also widened her eyes, somewhat in disbelief, as she asked, Lord Tsunade, could it be that child really has Kage-level strength? While talking, Gyurin's face was still full of anger. He quickly walked towards Naruto and flew straight away. She couldn't bear to see the person she respected the most being insulted by such a little brat. The crystal lair. As Gyurin completed the hand seal, a layer of pink crystals grew under Naruto's feet. Almost in an instant, the pink crystals rapidly spread out, enveloping Naruto's entire body within the seal.
Cut.
As expected. You're just a big talker. Gyurin let out a disdainful chuckle. She was still very confident in her own ninjutsu. Once you get caught in someone's trap, you can't just escape. Furthermore, the life of the person hit by this attack, also after this ninjutsu was completed, was already in Gyurin's hands. As long as her thoughts moved, the crystal would instantly shatter. Inside the sealed person, also known to crumble into pieces. Shizen frowned. Lord Tsunade, why is that nine-tails brat so easily hit? Gyurin's method, in her and Tsunade's view, has a huge weakness. As long as you can control the chakra within your body, it will completely surround the outside of your body. That kind of crystallization will certainly leave them helpless. Tsunade smiled slightly and slowly said, That little guy is not that simple. Wait and see the fun. Orochimaru's cry of alarm also rang out at the same time. Quickly retreat. Gyurin. Rustle. The crystal covering Naruto shattered, turning into countless tiny pink fragments, shining down on the surrounding ground. Naruto safely rushed out from the middle, activated his body flicker technique, and in a flash arrived in front of Gyurin, raising his foot and kicking Gyurin hard in the stomach. Break. Suddenly below, Gyurin was hit hard. She only felt a strange force from her abdomen that was no less than the one Tsunade had released before, and then her eyes suddenly shot open, and her entire body flew backwards. Struggling on the ground, it bounced around a few times before finally stopping at Orochimaru's feet. Hideous. Gyurin got up from the ground, raised his hand to wipe the corner of his mouth. His eyes filled with anger as he looked towards Naruto, who was standing not far away. I don't like hitting women. Actually, I still have a good impression of you, this guy. Today, I won't kill you. But that stinking snake must die. Naruto looked at Guren and said slowly. As a transmigrator, Naruto knows Guren's background. Because of the war, he lost his home and relatives at a young age. After being kidnapped by Orochimaru, that guy who specializes in selling children, he fell into Orochimaru's trap and killed everyone in the village. After that incident, Guren became Guren's heart demon. She also completely sealed her feelings and from then on became loyal to Orochimaru alone. Also pitiful guy. Cough cough. Most importantly, Guren is still a very beautiful girl. If possible, Naruto didn't want to let her die so easily. But Orochimaru is not like that. Not only has he been opposing Naruto, but this guy is an extremely dangerous character. At any moment, he might threaten the safety of those around Naruto. Killing Orochimaru, Naruto had no burden in his heart.
What?
Could it be that just because you saw that woman's beautiful appearance, you have a good impression of her? Shizen silently muttered. In her heart, her sympathy towards the mysterious Naruto was -1. Tsunade was right next to her. Naturally, she also heard Shizen whispering. She let out a soft laugh, pulling Shizen to retreat, saying, Shizen, then let's watch a good show next. Let's see how much ability this little guy has. Orochimaru looked at Naruto with a solemn expression and said to Guren beside him, Guren, don't let that brat get close to him. His physical technique is the strongest. Try your best to use ninjutsu to wear him down. I will cooperate with you to fight together. Guren's eyes never left Naruto's body. He nodded. I understand. Lord Orochimaru. Although he said so, Orochimaru was very clear in his heart. With his current body, under the premise of being completely unable to form hand seals and use ninjutsu, even with Guren's help and cooperation, it would be impossible to defeat Naruto. But very quickly, a plan was born in Orochimaru's mind. He looked towards Tsunade, who had retreated to the side, and loudly said, Tsunade, that brat is now a traitor to the Hidden Leaf Village. If you are willing to help me deal with him, I will agree with you and help you revive Nawaki and the rest in the shortest time possible. Seeing Orochimaru bring this matter up again, Tsunade gritted her teeth and did not directly answer. Naruto hurriedly spoke up and said, Senior Tsunade, you absolutely should not believe this stinking snake. He is deceiving you. That guy basically does not have the ability to resurrect others. It's not like Naruto was afraid of Tsunade and Orochimaru joining forces. It's just that Hinata still relies on Tsunade to save her. Naruto doesn't want to play hardball with Tsunade. Pausing for a moment, Naruto continued and added, Senior Tsunade, although this is the first time we have met, I can take responsibility in telling you, I really know how to resurrect others. I don't dare say I'm 100% sure, but as long as you give me enough time, I can definitely help you revive your loved one. Tsunade's eyes trembled slightly. For that sinister and cunning guy Orochimaru, Tsunade understood his personality very well. Although Orochimaru's words just now had moved her a bit. But this is only because Tsunade missed her brother and lover too much. That's why she showed that expression just now. Now that she had calmed down, Tsunade had regained her composure. Tsunade knew very well that there was an 80% chance that Naruto had lied to her about Orochimaru lying to her. Naruto said he was sure he could resurrect the dead. But Tsunade's first reaction was still disbelief. But out of curiosity, Tsunade still chose to ask tentatively. Then I actually want to hear, what kind of ability does this little guy have to be able to resurrect the dead? Naruto also had no intention of hiding anything, directly revealing the truth of the information he knew. Senior Tsunade, I believe that this kind of thing called Rinnegan, you should not be unfamiliar with it. Rinnegan? Hearing these 3 words, Tsunade and Orochimaru simultaneously showed a look of surprise on their faces. They had previously experienced the Second Great Ninja War and had helped Jiraiya rescue 3 children. Inside the red-haired boy's eyes was the Rinnegan Naruto was talking about. But Guren and Shizen both had confused expressions, not understanding at all what this so-called Rinnegan was. Tsunade frowned and asked, What exactly does this mean?
Brat.
What does the Rinnegan have to do with reanimated people? Orochimaru did not participate in the topic. He silently winked at Guren, signaling the other party to help him prepare to launch a sneak attack. Naruto replied, Rinnegan is one of the 3 great dojutsu. Compared to the other 2 great dojutsu, it has the most types of abilities. Within the Rinnegan ability, there is a type of inborn reincarnation ability, which can resurrect people who have passed away. allowing their souls to escape from hell and return to this world once again. What? What Naruto said made sense. It didn't seem like he was lying at all, causing Tsunade and Shizune to both have shocked expressions. Lord Tsunade, is what that kid said true or not? Shizune asked in a low voice. Tsunade gently shook her head. I can't be sure either, but he doesn't look like he's lying. While talking, Gyurin and Orochimaru also started to move. Star-breaking dragon subduing technique. Gyurin quickly formed hand seals with both hands. The moment the seal was completed, the mud on the ground instantly crystallized, turning into 2 pink crystallized dragons. Spinning around, struggling body rushed into the sky. Immediately in 2 different directions, toward Naruto, one head charged. What are you doing? Why did you start a sneak attack? Naruto complained while his body also disappeared from the spot. In the next blink of an eye, Naruto appeared behind a wall more than 10 meters away. This place was early at the time Shadow Clone climbed up, also on the wall made down Hiration mark.
Orochimaru-sama?
Right now. Gyurin shouted loudly, signaling Orochimaru to retreat first. But when she quickly retreated, she discovered that Orochimaru had already turned into an afterimage, running like crazy towards the roof of a temple behind. Gyurin remained silent towards Orochimaru's actions. However, this was also the decision she had just quietly discussed with Orochimaru. She originally wanted to take advantage of the well-buried seeds of the star release around her to give her side the greatest advantage. 8-branch crystal jade formation. Gyurin quickly dodged back at the same time, his hands also quickly waving. This time the hand seal she formed could be said to be quite complicated, about 20 hand seals quickly, and she was stunned to complete it in a few seconds. Rustle, rustle. In the mud rose up pieces of crystallized young shoots. As Gyurin completed his hand seal, those buds rapidly grew and expanded, spreading out large patches of connected red crystals in the air. Not a moment later, the heavy red crystallized barrier further sealed off a radius of several hundred meters. 8 gates Dunjia. 5th level, the gate opens. At Orochimaru, 2 people escaped at the same time. Naruto also almost instantly opened the 8 gates release technique. A large amount of green steam erupted from within his body. Naruto's speed had increased several times.
Break.
In the small inn's 2-story living room, a Naruto shadow clone sitting by the bed waiting for Hinata exploded into a white mist and disappeared without a trace. The chakra technique returns to Naruto's original form. The immortal technique of body flicker immediately started, combined with the 8 gates body armor technique. Naruto's body transformed into several afterimages and almost instantly arrived in front of Orochimaru. Stinking snake. Eat my punch. So fast. Orochimaru's face was filled with fear. But when he wanted to dodge, he only felt his eyes darken. Then his cheeks seemed to be hit by a heavy hammer. Blood spurted from his mouth. His body flew backwards like a cannonball. What the hell is this? Shizune's eyes were filled with shock. She raised her head to look at the sky, which was filled with crystallized barriers, and couldn't help but feel cold sweat running down her forehead. This is the widest range of ninjutsu she has ever experienced so far. Although one cannot temporarily sense any destructive ability of this technique, just this small scale is enough to make one feel extremely shocked. Tsunade was equally shocked. But she only walked up to Sora's crystal barrier to take a look, then immediately focused her gaze on Naruto. Those eyes surrounded by tangerine-colored eyes. Tsunade naturally wouldn't be able to recognize. That was Jiraiya's new most powerful method. That Ninetales kid is truly an unbelievable guy. How many ultimate moves does he possess in his hands? Tsunade was confused. According to the new Naruto suddenly appeared until now. He first used a forbidden technique that was difficult for ordinary people to come into contact with. And even harder to master, the Flying Thunder God technique. But just a few seconds after attacking Orochimaru, Naruto first opened the 8 gates release technique. Immediately after that, he used Myobokuzan, sage form. Then he swung his heavy fist at Orochimaru. That fist contained hidden force, but Tsunade herself possessed the demon power. Tsunade basically had no way to describe her feelings at this moment. This is like seeing a little guy suddenly appear but possess all kinds of extremely powerful abilities. Moreover, these abilities are all stealing other people's tricks. What exactly happened? I don't remember teaching anyone other than Shizune how to control chakra. Orochimaru was sent flying backwards. A piece of brick wall was thrown from behind him, creating a large hole. Then he flew back more than 10 meters, and then with a thud, he hit the heavy crystallized fence above, his whole head falling down into the mud. Orochimaru-sama. Disgusting, you bastard. Seeing his master being attacked, Gyurin frowned, looking at Naruto, whose eyes were about to spit fire. Naruto, although young, brought her too much pressure. Originally intended to use this huge crystallized barrier formation to temporarily trap those people in the formation. Maybe Uzumaki Naruto's speed was too fast. In a blink of an eye, he had already chased after them. Pentagon Crystalline Path. Taking advantage of the moment when Orochimaru was being beaten, Gyurin also waved his hands, completing a set of ninjutsu hand seals. Naruto's 2 feet just fell on the roof at the same time. The tiles under Gyurin's feet rapidly condensed into sharp pink streaks of earth, dividing into a large fan-shaped area and rapidly spreading towards Naruto's feet. Naruto had no choice but to give up on Orochimaru's pursuit first, constantly dodging and retreating, facing the more than 1 meter long ice crystal spikes. Hexagonal Shuriken Chaos. One strike failed. Gyurin once again formed several hand seals. Immediately, she waved her hands vigorously, and tiny pink crystallized hexagonal shuriken flew towards Naruto. Gyurin. Although I said I don't like hitting women, but this doesn't mean I really won't hit you. Naruto was held back by Gyurin, unable to help but frown slightly impatiently. His right hand held a void. A specially made Hiraishin kunai appeared in the palm of his hand. Ding 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 kung. Naruto's right arm danced out a gapless blade afterimage in front of him, knocking down the large hexagonal shuriken that was flying towards him one by one. Humph. You are really arrogant. Gyurin's mouth corners curved into a smile, seeming to have some confidence in this battle. At the same time her voice just fell, the tile under Naruto's feet exploded with a rustling sound. Ugh! Orochimaru's head rushed out from among the broken tiles. A long kusanagi shot out from his mouth, stabbing straight towards Naruto's lower body. Fuck. So cruel. You want to cut off my descendants? Naruto cursed loudly. But at this time he had already opened the sage form, coupled with the speed of the 8 gates escape armor. At the same time as the strange movement appeared below, Naruto had already bent his knees and jumped up high. Orochimaru's body was still in a tumbling form, under the crystallized barrier several dozen meters away. But the neck following that abandoned temple below rapidly went up and extended towards the sky. Naruto chased straight and went. Obviously, this guy had burrowed his head through the ground, wanting Naruto to come in for a surprise attack. The kusanagi that came out of his mouth emitted a cold light. As long as that thing was stabbed inside, Naruto's butt would instantly bloom. But Naruto didn't have any confusion and didn't take advantage of Hiraishin to go straight. He just slightly extended his right hand outward, a pale blue chakra vortex rapidly moving in his palm. Almost in an instant, Naruto's right hand condensed a huge Rasengan, followed the falling trend of his body, and used all his strength to smash Orochimaru's head like crazy. Senpo's super great gem Rasengan. Oh no! Orochimaru's forehead broke out in cold sweat. At the very first moment when his sneak attack failed, he knew he should have retreated and run away. But Naruto had offended him many times, making him angry and a bit lost in thought. Only then did he choose to take advantage of the situation and charge forward. The other side of the ball smashed down like crazy to the big Loa tone circle. Orochimaru didn't have time to retreat. He could only choose to use Kusanagi's mouth, going straight to the top. At the time when Kusanagi's sword tip and that huge Loa tone collided, Kusanagi was also not damaged. Only that the great loudspeaker's complete force was too great as it slammed down like crazy. Orochimaru's neck could not withstand this huge force at all, and in a flash, it bent and transformed. And Kusanagi also bent along with it. Then it was Orochimaru's head, and that huge Rasengan came into close contact head-on. Ah! Orochimaru was beaten until his facial features were disfigured. A loud bang. The great Loa tone directly hit Orochimaru's head, causing the roof of the abandoned temple to explode into a huge deep hole. Orochimaru-sama. Gyurin's eyes were about to crack. He let out a cry of alarm, quickly running towards the direction of the giant hole in the roof, just wanting to confirm Orochimaru's life or death. That technique. Isn't it the same as Jiraiya-sama's Rasengan? But why would it reach such a terrifying level? Shizune's mouth was wide open enough to block 2 fists. She rubbed her eyes hard. somewhat unable to believe everything she saw. Although Tsunade was also startled, seeing that she knew more, she was now somewhat able to regain her composure. That technique was indeed a Rasengan. But it was used by the Myobokuzan Mystic Wood Mountain Sage, so its level and power were no longer comparable to what they were in the past. Senjutsu? Lady Tsunade, you said that little brat has already mastered Senjutsu. Shizen covered her chin, afraid that if she continued to listen, her chin would fall to the ground. Guren had already run to the roof of the big ditch beside him, squatted down, and lay on the edge looking down. Only saw the abandoned temple floor also like was pounded into a deep hole. But Orochimaru's head was gone. At the bottom of the deep pit, there was a small black hole. It seemed that Orochimaru had escaped. Who this stinky snake is really hard to deal with. Naruto hugged Bang's arm, looked at that small black hole, and whispered. Just now he felt that the Super Great Ball Rasengan's attack on Orochimaru was an absolutely fatal injury. The head was bent and deformed, blood was flowing out in all directions. Maybe Orochimaru is just like that against the heavens once again, retracting his head from underground. Does it mean he can survive without a head? But what Naruto didn't know was that after Orochimaru's neck retracted back into his original body, that head is really unusable. His mouth split open on both sides. Immediately one hand grabbed the inside of his mouth and pulled it out, followed by his head. At the moment when the entire mouth was expanded to burst open on both sides, a new sticky Orochimaru crawled out from inside the mouth. Ho ho, you damned bastard. You actually made me use Orochimaru Ryutaishin. Orochimaru was panting heavily, cursing Naruto at the same time. In his heart, he was also resenting Sarutobi Hiruzen, making him unable to use ninjutsu. Otherwise, taking his Sannin Orochimaru. How could he have been beaten to such a miserable state? That's great. Discovering that Orochimaru was fine, Guren still patted his chest in fear. Immediately, she ran straight towards Orochimaru's direction. Hey, stinky snake, you're playing this kind of circus act of transforming again. It's too shameless. Naruto jumped out of the abandoned temple, followed closely behind Guren, and ran towards Orochimaru.
Oh, Guren.
Help me form that seal. Orochimaru's eyes revealed fear. He ordered Guren, who had just run to his side. I understand, Lord Orochimaru. Guren nodded in agreement, immediately grabbed Orochimaru's hand, used his own hand, cooperated with Orochimaru's hand, and began to dance the hand seal. The art of spiritualism. The seal was completed. Guren squatted down and slapped the ground with both palms, following a circle of black lines spreading outward. Followed by a bang, a white mist exploded. A giant black snake several dozen meters long appeared at the feet of the two people, lifting them high in the air. That black snake's skull had horns growing from both sides. Its entire body exuded a cold and cruel aura. One could tell it was very old. Hey, Orochimaru, what did you ask me to come here for? Didn't you prepare any tribute for me? Manda rolled her eyes and asked Orochimaru above his head. Orochimaru was still panting heavily because of the intense pain coming from both his hands, coupled with the feeling of weakness he had just felt after molting. He did not directly reply to Manda's words.
Wow.
It's really big enough for a bedbug's head. Naruto stopped, put his hand over his eyes to shield the sun, and looked up at the dozens of meters tall Manda. What did you say? Manda's hearing was sharp. Naruto's disrespectful words made it instantly bristle. A pair of cold snake eyes glared at Naruto, a simple greeting, but carried a strong threat. At this time, Tsunade and Shizen also continuously jumped between the rooms. That kid called Naruto. That snake's background is really not simple. You better be careful. Tsunade stood more than 10 meters away and kindly reminded him. But she still only had the intention of watching the show and had no intention of participating in this war. Rest assured, Senior Tsunade, I have a sense of proportion. Naruto turned his head back and laughed heartily, not really taking Manda seriously. Naruto is really a transmigrator, so he probably has some understanding of what abilities Manda has. On top of Manda's head, Guren whispered in Orochimaru's ear. Lord Orochimaru, that kid is really difficult to deal with. Do we really need to continue? If you are willing to give the order, I can immediately bring you out of this barrier. They are trapped inside the barrier, so they probably won't be able to get out for the time being. Orochimaru frowned. He knew Guren had a point. I have no way to use ninjutsu right now, just relying on Giran alone. I can't withstand Naruto's attack. Even if I increase Manda, I'm afraid it's still a waste of effort. Suppose Naruto can use Hiraishin to escape, leaving this ice crystal barrier. But to find him and Guren's whereabouts is even more difficult. Maybe Orochimaru was humiliated many times today. Moreover, in front of an old friend of many years, being humiliated by a child in turn, this made Orochimaru completely unable to bear the loss of face. He had decided in his heart that he must touch one. Even though he wasn't completely sure he could defeat Uzumaki Naruto, he still wanted to give it a try. At worst, he would be forced to use his true self, at which point he would be considered to have an overwhelming advantage.
Brat.
I'm questioning you. You just spoke rudely to me. Are you looking for death? Manda used that cold-eyed glare at Naruto, her voice like thunder once again asked. I said you are a big bedbug. What? Are you very upset? Naruto didn't pay any attention to covering his ears, raised his head to look at it, and said, Damn you, kid. Manda shouted loudly, one head suddenly stabbed down. Opened that mouth full of blood, wanting to swallow Naruto in one gulp. But unfortunately, Manda's speed was very fast. Naruto's reaction was even faster than it. Early in the danger practice before arriving, Naruto jumped up, his 2 feet standing firmly on the roof behind him. Guren had already jumped down from above before Manda launched his attack. Star-release Crystal Kagami. She stood at a road mouth, her hands dancing in a seal. As the seal was completed, 3 pink crystallized mirrors suddenly appeared from the side. Crystal clone. After Guren formed the seal again, from the 3-sided pink crystal mirror, one Guren after another continuously came out. Not a few seconds passed. 8 identical Guren appeared at the side waiting for orders. You guys, cooperate with Lord Manda, must definitely capture Uzumaki Naruto. According to Guren's command, the 8 clones also nodded in agreement and launched their attacks at the same time as Manda just now. The 8 clones also followed suit. They continuously jumped onto the roof, each condensing crystallized scimitars in their hands, shooting straight towards Naruto's direction. This woman is here again. She is really hateful. Naruto frowned and released the groove, dodging past Guren's clone attack at the same time. Also relying on his extremely fast speed, dodging to the 2 Guren side, continuously punching out K at their chests. Break. The 2 Guren were heavily impacted and shattered on the spot, turning into pieces of pink crystals that scattered into the air everywhere.
Godi, Brat.
Manda also grabbed Guren to give it a chance. Its long and powerful tail swung out strongly, straight towards Naruto to whip him. Manda not only has very fast movement speed, attack speed is also equally fast and powerful. Naruto saw that it was too late to dodge, so he definitely did not intend to dodge. Another Rasengan shattered a Guren clone. Then he chased after Manda's tail, a few centimeters away from his body, and activated the Flying Thunder God technique.
Wow.
Orange light flashed. Naruto disappeared from the spot. In the next blink of an eye, Naruto appeared several dozen meters away in a wall.
Boom, tilde.
Manda's tail pounded like crazy on the roof, causing the not-so-solid house to collapse with a loud bang. The remaining few clones that originally besieged Naruto Guren were also hit by the disaster, falling down together with the broken bricks and tiles, and were buried within the ruins. Cut! You timid guy, you can only hide and run away. You don't dare to fight me head-on. Manda was so angry that his face turned purple. His huge body was moving around the streets and houses like a giant bulldozer. Everywhere it passed, its body crushed everything it passed until it sank down. You like head-on battles, right? Then I'll give you a meeting gift. Naruto was not at all weak, quickly flying straight towards Manda. At the same time, he had to circulate chakra in his hand, and in a blink of an eye, he condensed a Rasengan. As Naruto poured a large amount of wind release attribute into the Rasengan, seals also appeared on the rotating Rasengan. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The ear-piercing sound of rubbing rang out, touching everyone's eardrums, causing them all to frown and cover their ears. What the hell is this technique? How come it contains such a terrifying energy? Shizun's face was filled with horror. Shizun, go quickly. Tsunade already sensed danger, hurriedly pulling the still-stunned Shizun behind to quickly retreat. Rasen Shuriken. Naruto waved his hand with force and swung the Rasen Shuriken in his hand, spinning towards Manda's direction and flying straight past. Manda is an old snake that has survived for many years and has a wealth of combat experience. Fear flashed through its snake eyes, and it quickly stopped its forward lunging body and burrowed into the ruins.
Boom, boom, tilde, tilde, tilde.
The Rasen shuriken that had just been placed at Manda's location exploded. A circular ball of white light shot up into the sky, causing a fierce storm to appear in this space. The house a little closer to the explosion site was already in ruins. Under the strong wind, a large section of the wall collapsed. Less than 2 seconds later, after the white light exploded, a huge deep hole appeared before everyone's eyes. Just now, the ruins inside the broken bricks and tiles all turned into fine powder and disappeared, and Manda's giant body also disappeared along with it. Where? Shizen stood at a high place, frowning and whispering. It's underground. Tsunade frowned, but her combat experience was much richer than Shizune's, and she immediately guessed the trick. Sure enough, as Tsunade finished speaking, a small tremor appeared on the ground where Naruto was standing. Immediately after, a loud bang, the mud under Naruto's feet broke. A huge snake head protruded from the ground, opened its bloody mouth and bit straight towards Naruto.
Brat.
Watch as I swallow you in one gulp. Manda's deafening voice rang out. But Naruto's reaction and speed were both quick. How could he be hit by this huge opening by a sneak attack? Only saw Naruto's 2 knees bend slightly, already chasing before Manda broke the ground. Letting go and jumping into the air, facing Manda, probing the body from underground, biting towards himself until his mouth was full of blood. He was not afraid at all. The left hand slightly raised. A specially made Hirashin kunai appeared in the palm of the hand. Collection. As Naruto waved his hand, the kunai shot straight into Manda's mouth and down Manda's throat. A small kunai, naturally, is unable to cause any damage to Manda. Even if it was shot into Manda's body, it would be the same. But in the next blink of an eye, Naruto acted. The other raised his right hand, like lightning condensed a Rasengan. As the chakra of the sage technique poured in, the volume of the Rasengan being held rapidly expanding to a diameter of more than 10 meters. Senpo's Super Great Gem Rasengan.
Wow.
Flying Thunder God technique activated. Naruto took the Super Great Rasengan and disappeared without a trace. In the next blink of an eye, Manda's throat, slightly below the snake's body, began to rapidly expand. A loud bang. There a snake body broken. Fresh blood sprayed out and splashed around at the same time. Naruto also jumped out from Manda's body. After a few shakes he stood on a wall, his face full of disgust as he wiped the slimy liquid on his body, almost vomiting it on the spot. Ugh, damn it. So it really is a stinking snake. Its body is filled with that rotten smell? Phew phew. Before Manda could say a final word, his tall body crashed down with a loud bang, stirring up a large patch of dust on the ground. Orochimaru shook himself and jumped several times. Only then did he stand upright. He widened his eyes in disbelief, never thinking that his strongest spirit beast Manda would just die in Uzumaki Naruto's hands. Tsunade-sama, what happened just now? Shizen forcefully swallowed a mouthful of saliva, looked over at the battlefield not far away, and asked softly. Because Naruto's series of movements just now were too fast, she didn't have time to fully react to what happened. It's Hirashin. That kid probably already guessed that Manda would have this kind of sneak attack, so he pretended not to know, and instead used a trick against him. Throw the specially made Hirashin kunai into Manda's stomach, then transfer that sage technique Rasengan into Manda's body. Tsunade's forehead sweated, softly explaining. For that blonde boy not far away, Tsunade had a new level of recognition. Not only does he have all kinds of powerful methods, his fighting consciousness and experience are also extremely experienced, completely unlike an 11 or 12-year-old teenager. Retired. At the moment when Orochimaru was in a daze, Naruto probably wouldn't let go of such an opportunity. A shake disappeared from the original spot. Almost in the blink of an eye reached Orochimaru's back.
Orochimaru-sama.
Be careful. Gyuren's face was filled with horror, and he quickly shouted out a reminder. But by the time Orochimaru reacted, it was too late. Rasengan. A rotating chakra light sphere, straight hit Orochimaru on the back. A huge hole was instantly burned into his back, and immediately his entire body spun rapidly, flying straight forward. The forest is dense inside. A white-haired hedgehog figure, trampling on the tree branches in the forest, galloped forward at full speed. He wore a dye-Hittite forehead treasure, engraved with a large oil seal on his forehead, a red cloak behind him, and carried a large scroll. Through the gaps in the leaves of the forest, he was walking on the road after, also discovered in the distance that huge pink crystal fence shot up to the sky. A trace of doubt appeared on his calm face, and Zhongren couldn't help but mumble. What the hell is that? Although the distance between them is too far, it is unclear what that crystallized fence is. But he could guess that there must have been a fierce battle on the other side. Perhaps this was related to his desire to find Tsunade. Thinking this, he no longer stopped, increasing his speed towards the other side. Crack crack. Orochimaru was sent flying by the Rasengan. His body continuously hit several earthen walls, and then fell to the ground, not knowing if he was alive or dead. Tsunade and Shizun were still in a state of shock and astonishment, looking at Naruto blankly, mouths wide open, not knowing what to say. This little devil is really too strong to the point of being a bit abnormal. Although it is said that Orochimaru lost both arms and had the advantage. But Tsunade asked herself, there was no way she could fight against such a little guy. Although he said his strength was not ordinary, but when it came to speed, he was far from Naruto's. Even if you have the power to defeat the opponent with one punch, but cannot touch the opponent's body, it still has no effect. Orochimaru-sama.
Disgusting.
You bastard. Gyurin shouted in surprise, gritted his teeth and looked at Naruto, cursing, and recklessly charged straight towards Naruto. Naruto also ignored her, still holding his nose uncomfortably. Hastily pulled open the zipper, took off the orange jacket on his body, and threw it aside. Just as Naruto was about to take off his pants, he suddenly remembered that there were a few ladies present. Looking up at Tsunade and Shizun, seeing the surprised expressions on their faces, Naruto immediately felt a little embarrassed. I'm sorry. I forgot you ladies are still here. I'll go somewhere else to change clothes. Naruto scratched his head, smiling shyly. Gyurin at this moment carried a pair of glass scimitars and rushed over, wanting to initiate an attack from behind Naruto. Go die, you bastard. At the moment her scimitar had just swung down. There was still a few dozen centimeters of distance between her and Naruto. Naruto's body suddenly disappeared, turning into orange lightning, and just like that it was gone.
Go.
Shizun was a bit confused, still not quite understanding the situation. But Tsunade seemed to suddenly sense something, her eyebrows furrowed. Looking back at Orochimaru, who had fallen to the ground. Gulp gulp. Orochimaru's body was seriously injured, and the skin on his surface suddenly began to move irregularly. Immediately after, the frequency of the movements became faster and faster. The entire skin on the back was raised high, as if something wanted to break out from inside. This scene looks very strange. What the hell happened? That guy's body. Shizun frowned. This frightening scene made her stomach feel a little uncomfortable. As expected, that Orochimaru guy really won't be that easy to deal with. Tsunade clenched her fists, seeming to have guessed something. According to her, just finished speaking. Rustle. Orochimaru's back skin was punctured by a gaping hole. A huge snake head filled with fierce white scales escaped from inside his robe and shot straight into the air. That snake's head has many white beast horns growing out, and its body is also covered with sharp white bones. Just looking at it gives people an unusually tough feeling. As the first snake head appeared, immediately after that was the second snake head, the third snake head. Until the 8 snake heads appeared, Orochimaru's original body had completely disappeared without a trace. Num num num. 8 snake heads opened their mouths full of blood, constantly struggling with their bodies, emitting goosebumps. What the hell is this thing? It's even bigger than Manda's body, just now. Shizun's eyes were filled with fear. She raised her head to look at the 8 giant white-scaled snake, and involuntarily took a few steps back. Tsunade's eyes shook, also in a state of terror. As an elite medical ninja, she could feel that the 8-headed white-scaled giant snake's chakra aura was very compatible with Orochimaru's body. If I'm not mistaken, this thing is probably the real Orochimaru. Tsunade said in a deep voice. The real body? Shizun and Gyurin, the 2 women present, both had expressions of disbelief. What a good Orochimaru. Isn't he a human? Why did it turn into a set of 8 giant snake bodies? While speaking, the giant snake in the center of the 8 symboli snake suddenly opened its mouth wide, the pink wall of its throat moving as if it wanted to vomit something out. This image here makes some people feel nauseous and want to vomit. But not even a moment later, Orochimaru's naked body was really spit out by Hakuja from his stomach, stopping at the tip of his tongue, revealing only half of his sticky body. Orochimaru's cold eyes scanned everywhere,
As if he was searching for something.
his gaze swept across Tsunade and Shizune and the others, all without much emotional reaction. A moment later, Orochimaru spoke in a low voice. "Where is that Uzumaki Naruto kid? Did he just run away like that?" Tsunade and Shizune and the others even knew that Naruto was changing clothes. But they were not familiar with Naruto after all, and did not know whether Naruto would return or not. Therefore, they did not have much to say. Tsunade raised her head and asked loudly, "Orochimaru, what exactly is going on? Why did you become like this?" Orochimaru let out a strange laugh, then his eyes revealed a vicious glint as he looked at Tsunade and said in a low voice, "Tsunade, you are very smart. You see this appearance now. It is my true form. The purpose of my coming to find you this time is already very clear in your heart. As long as you are willing to help me heal these hands, I will definitely let you leave safely." Tsunade's forehead veins popped out. She clenched her teeth, already a bit angry.
What do you mean by that?
"Are you planning to force me to help you?" Orochimaru continued to maintain that cold smile. Without hiding anything, he said, "That's right, you're right. Since I've exposed this body, I can't kill that nine-tailed demon, so bringing you back to treat my injuries is also a good choice." Being threatened like this, Tsunade's temper flared up. A pair of clenched fists shook, and he took a step forward, wanting to rush forward and attack Orochimaru. Shizune quickly pulled Tsunade's arm and said in a low voice, "Lord Tsunade, it's not appropriate to risk your life with him right now. We don't know what kind of abilities that monster is hiding. Furthermore, that woman over there is also staring at us. It's better to find an opportunity to escape." Tsunade stopped. This time she did not refute Shizune's advice. Shizune is right. The current situation is completely unfavorable for the two of them. What kind of power the eight-tailed giant snake has is still unknown for now. Furthermore, that woman called Gyurin, whose ability to crystallize her Kekkei Genkai, is also relatively difficult to deal with. But without waiting for the two to take action, Orochimaru suddenly opened his mouth and laughed strangely again. "Tsunade, I advise you to give up any thoughts of escape. Within Gyurin's barrier, there is no way you can escape. Even if your strength is extremely great, you still have no way to break this barrier." Tsunade's forehead veins bulged again. The anger in her heart was completely ignited by Orochimaru. She pushed Shizune away and grabbed her arm, taking steps towards the other side of the eight-killed giant snake, running like crazy. "If you say so, then I will fight until you admit defeat. I want to see what kind of abilities this snake body of yours has, Orochimaru." As soon as she finished speaking, Tsunade jumped up and clenched her fist, charging towards a giant white-headed snake.
Numb.
The white-scaled giant snake was not at all willing to be outdone. It struggled with its giant snake body, emitting a roar, and at the same time, it opened its bloody mouth and bit towards Tsunade. "Drink!" Tsunade suddenly shouted, chasing after herself before being swallowed. Her fist changed direction, pounding like crazy at the white-scaled giant snake's mouth. Boom boom. Under this monster force attack, the white-scaled giant snake was severely injured. The upper half of its head instantly split open. Fresh Kurenai's blood sprayed out in all directions, and along with the blood, white mist was also emitted from the white-scaled giant snake's body. Tsunade's face was sprayed with snake blood, her nose accidentally sucked in the white mist, and in a flash her expression changed. "Ah!" Tsunade's 2 feet fell to the ground, only feeling a burning pain in her heart and lungs. Moreover, this kind of pain felt very quickly spreading to other parts of the body. Obviously a type of toxin had entered the body, spreading to all parts of the body. Cough, cough, cough. Tsunade covered her painful chest, coughing violently. But compared to the pain of this poison burning inside her body, the snake blood on her body made Tsunade feel even more afraid. It was a kind of fear that came from the depths of her soul, ever since she failed to help Dan Kato stop the bleeding, causing Dan Kato to lose his life. Also suffered from this strange fear of blood disease. At this moment, Tsunade's eyes were filled with fear. Her body was shaking continuously. Her knees were half kneeling on the ground. "It's exactly as I expected, Tsunade. Are you still so afraid of seeing blood? Orochimaru let out a strange laugh, seemingly extremely satisfied with his masterpiece. Lord Tsunade! Shizune exclaimed, her heart burning with anxiety as she quickly rushed towards Tsunade. She had waited with Tsunade for so many years, so she naturally knew Tsunade's affairs like the back of her hand. Knowing Tsunade's fear of blood, what level has it reached? How could you? This woman, ruin Lord Orochimaru's good things. Gyurin quickly stepped forward, blocking in front of Shizune, making it impossible for Shizune to overcome the past and launch a rescue against Tsunade. Orochimaru manipulated the central body of the Eight Banners Great Snake, wriggling its body as it slowly approached Tsunade. How is it? Tsunade? Now we can talk properly. You are poisoned by my snake, and you are also bound by blood fear. Your life can be in my hands at any time. Tsunade's eyes were still filled with fear, even though because of the deep poisoning. Her face was slightly purple, but she still stood there trembling nonstop. Absolutely no intention of self-detoxification or treatment.
Wow.
An orange figure appeared, standing in the center of the ruins. I'm sorry. The slime on that stinking snake's body is really too stinky. I originally thought of changing into other clothes and then coming back, but I still couldn't help but find a place to take a bath. Naruto scratched his head, smiling foolishly. But his sudden appearance attracted the attention of everyone present, except Tsunade outside. What is this situation? Why are you all looking at me like that? Naruto was a bit confused, but he quickly noticed something unusual behind him and turned around to look. Only then did they discover a giant white-scaled giant snake dozens of meters away. And Tsunade's body was constantly trembling. Appeared. Orochimaru's true form really appeared. Naruto seemed to have expected this, and did not show much surprise. Anyway, Naruto looked through the original work and knew that Orochimaru was really a scoundrel. No matter how he fought, he couldn't kill him. Just now, such a trick, at most, is just to let Orochimaru change his body in the future. You bastard. Seeing Naruto appear, Orochimaru's originally smiling face instantly turned cold and cruel. Forcing him to reveal his true self, Orochimaru was truly furious.
Naruto-kun.
Lady Tsunade was hit by that guy's trick and has now lost her ability to resist. I don't know exactly what you want to do by looking for Lady Tsunade, but as long as you can save Lady Tsunade, no matter what the conditions are, I am willing to agree to them on her behalf. Shizune shouted loudly. Seeing Naruto arrive, a trace of joy arose in her heart. Even though Naruto is also a traitor ninja of the Hidden Leaf Village, but through the series of events just now, Shizune knew that Naruto's purpose in coming here was to find Tsunade for support. Moreover, Naruto and Orochimaru seemed to have a grudge. So asking Naruto to help save Tsunade is a very possible thing. Really? Naruto also had a similar expression of joy, turned his head to look at Shizune, and asked loudly. Didn't think I would go take a bath and come back. I don't know why I already have a gambling card that can save Hinata. At first, with Naruto's identity as a traitor ninja, he didn't know how to find Tsunade for help. Or rather, seeking Tsunade's help, whether she is willing to help or not, is completely unknown. Now that Shizune has agreed to save Hinata, the chances of success are already very high. You talk too much. Gyurin's face filled with anger. He brandished a pair of crystallized scimitars and attacked Shizune's weak point. Ding ding ding. The sound of weapons clashing rang out. Gyurin and Shizune, these two women, once again clashed together. Humph. Want to save Tsunade? I won't give you such a chance. Orochimaru suddenly shouted. Immediately, one of the 8 giant snakes suddenly rushed forward, opened its bloody mouth and swallowed the still trembling and stunned Tsunade in one gulp. Stinky snake. Let her go. Seeing this scene, Naruto immediately became angry. The real Tsunade is the only one who can save Hinata Ninja, now being swallowed by such a giant snake. If Tsunade were to lose her life, then Hinata would be no different from being unable to be saved. How is it? Nine-tailed brat. You forced me into this state. How can I let you have your wish? Then I will send that little girl of yours to hell. Ha 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 ha. Orochimaru's eyes revealed a provocative look as he looked at Naruto, emitting a strange laugh. Immediately, he manipulated the giant snake's tall body and climbed towards Naruto. 8 gates done, just 6th level gate. Open. Naruto crossed his hands, his forehead veins bulging. Many of the body's acupoints were completely broken open, and immediately a silvery green steam erupted from within the body, shooting straight up into the sky. The broken brick ruins underfoot were immediately blown out by green steam and rolled around, instantly clearing a circular clean area. Naruto-kun, that snake's body, once cut off, will release a poisonous gas. You must be careful. Shizune spent her time paying close attention to Naruto's movements. Seeing that Naruto was about to make a move, she quickly, loudly reminded Naruto. But because of that, Shizune, who was already no match for Guren, now showed an opening. Guren kicked her in the stomach, sending her flying backwards. I understand, Shizune Sr. Feeling Shizune's good intentions, Naruto turned his head and agreed. Multiple shadow clone technique. Immediately, Naruto formed hand seals with both hands, and orange figures appeared nearby. Almost in the blink of an eye, Naruto's shadow clone had already occupied a large area around this area. Literally hundreds of people cannot calculate the exact number. But Naruto himself was very clear. These were 2,500 Naruto shadow clones. Big brother, divide 200 people to help Shizune Sr. The rest of you come with me to kill the snake. Tonight we will eat snake soup. Naruto waved his hand and shouted. Ah! The clones raised their arms high above their heads, shouting loudly in agreement. Immediately, 200 Naruto ran towards the rear to rescue Shizune, who was already injured and unable to fight. On the other hand, 2,300 people pulled out kunai together. At the same time, the Shadow Clone Group quickly ran towards the 8 Sky Giant Snake. Wind Release Attribute Chakra was also released from within the body. The kunai blade's surface was covered with a layer of light blue chakra energy. This is the Wind Release Chakra Proficiency ability, which can wrap the kunai, allowing the smooth and thin wind blade to extend out from the kunai blade. Let the kunai become extremely sharp at the same time can also let the attack range can be expanded. Wanting to save Tsunade, naturally couldn't use large-range ninjutsu attacks. And Orochimaru's 8-flag body also contains deadly poison. Relying on the Shadow Clone Group to launch an attack is the most suitable method at present. So many little flies, so many little ones, it's really hateful enough. Looking at the countless globs of blood spurting out from his body, Orochimaru couldn't help but frown. He manipulated his giant 8-tailed body, allowing the white-scaled giant snakes to continuously attack and bite. Also instantly destroyed a large portion of Naruto's shadow clones. But the sacrifice of the shadow clone was not without any effect. Only to see the group of clones before dispersing, also all brandished the chakra wind blades in their hands, slashing towards that white-scaled giant snake's body. Puffy puffy. Each blood arrow visible to the naked eye flowed out. The white-scaled giant snake's body was cut into many holes. Even though there was a hard-scale armor protecting it, under the ability to destroy all wind blade chakra attacks, it still couldn't provide an effective defense. Right now, boss, we must immediately rescue Senior Tsunade. Naruto shouted loudly, waving his hand towards Tsunade, who was about to swallow a white-scaled giant snake. Transparent. Clearly understand. The Shadow Clones group all spoke in agreement, their hand movements also not slowing down at all. Chakra rotating air flow circled around the palm of the hand. In a blink of an eye condensed into rotating chakra spheres. They lined up in a long line and charged forward, smashing the chakra light ball in their hands towards the lowest position of the white-scale giant snake. The reason for doing so was to prevent accidental injury to Tsunade. Another reason is because the 8 giant snake's body is too huge, so it can cause the Shadow Clone Group to concentrate their attacks. That's why we choose this method. Raise again. Raise again. Raise again.
Boom boom tilde 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 boom boom tilde tilde tilde.
Each Rasengan smashed like crazy at the white-scale giant snake's body over there. The giant snake's flesh and blood exploded at the same time, and a large amount of faint white mist also spread out from its body. This mist contained deadly poison, causing the surrounding clones to all have purple faces, making them extremely uncomfortable. But the clone group still chose not to disperse first. Perseveringly taking the Rasengan in his hand, he smashed it into the white-scaled giant snake's body, then it exploded on the spot, turning into white mist and dispersing. Under the Rasengan's immediate bombardment attack, the white-scaled giant snake's body completely broke from the bottom. A loud rumble echoed and crashed down, causing a large piece of the shadow clone to shatter, and at the same time, a deep hole was also thrown into the ground. Inside the small and Hinata was staying at. Another Sage Shadow clone exploded on the spot, turning into white mist and disappearing without a trace. The chakra returned to Naruto's body.
Wow.
The Sage Technique Body Flicker technique was activated, and Naruto instantly arrived beside the broken, white-scaled giant snake. The man squatted down and hugged the white-scaled giant snake, suddenly using force to lift this giant monster up. Drink.